Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and I told you we would do at least one more deep dive today, which we are about to take part in, my friends. And what we're going to be talking about right now is number 43. That's Jane Doe number 43. And remember, I believe Guthrie Roberts, Virginia Guthrie Roberts, she was designated 102. So we have all these new documents. I want to put out there as a disclaimer, some of this stuff has definitely been out there, at least in some regard, prior to this. That's for certain. For instance, if you take a look at the news articles regarding some of this stuff, you will find a little bit of information. So I'm getting these. I know people are asking me for links. Someone put it on Google Drive, so I don't know if they want to give access to everybody. I'll see what I can do about getting everybody links. Hopefully they're going to be out there for everybody soon, but obviously if this guy's finding them, they're around. So these are the documents here, and the thing that I thought was interesting is we're going to look at the testimony of Maxwell and what she has to say. There's a ton of transcripts of that. But first, I think we need to look at who these other people are, more underlings, because a lot of the documents of the Jane Does out there, they all start pretty much with the same story. For instance, Sarah Kellen is not in all of them, but in many of them, where she guides these girls through a kitchen, up some stairs, through a hallway where there's naked photos of girls and women, and then a room where there's naked photos of girls and women, where all this takes place. So the very beginnings are very, very similar, but as of now, this is the only one where I've seen the names Sarah Kellen, Leslie Groff, and Natalia Malashev. So what did I do? I went out and I found what I could about each of them, because you're going to find out about each of them right now. So Leslie Groff, I couldn't even find a picture of Leslie Groff. I was able to find what appears to be some kind of audio podcast from the Parallax Views on Leslie Groff, obviously with Bannon, Epstein. And then right here, what you're looking at are two of the other people. You're looking at Nada Marcinkova. Okay, Marcinkova is not mentioned there. So I'm not sure if she's part of a separate suit, but the name definitely sounds familiar. And then Sarah Kalin. Sarah Kalin right here as well. So Sarah Kalin is mentioned. Now as far as, and by the way, she's in this picture. I don't know who Cindy Lopez is. There's a lot of these girls. There's a lot of these women. And here is Natalia Malashev. She actually has aliases. I could not find a picture of her either, but I was able to track all these people down, all out of jail. In fact, if you look at this Guardian article about these two, it says how they've changed their name and they're operating in different businesses. And they had been questioned about Prince Andrew in 2010. But it has nothing to do with charges and the lawsuits that would later be brought against them. Again, I think these documents right here, I think this was filed when? In 2017. So, document from 2017, there's an article where they'd already changed their names and went on to other lives. So, let's find out what they were doing. And notice here we have pseudonyms, right? The person still wants their identity unknown. And I'm glad that that regard is still here. So again, you look at this right here. At all times, materially of this cause, where's Sarah Kalin? I want to get everybody. So at all times, materially of this cause of action, defendant Jeffrey Epstein was an adult male born in 1953. Maxwell, New York, New York. Great Britain and France. You had Kalin, who also lived in New York, New York. Remember, New York, New Mexico, little St. James Island, other places. He was in Europe. And then Leslie Groff out of New York. So this seems mostly like the New York branch. Natalia Malashev, New York. And the fashion industry is going to play a big part in this, because they would recruit these young women and then have them recruit more with promises of, oh, you'll go to FIT, the Fashion Institute of Technology, or another prominent school. And then you're going to have an amazing career afterwards. But after you're doing all these sexual favors and all of a sudden you don't want to do them, well, then they start threatening you. Okay, so here we are. All of them, they're listed. Owed a duty to plaintiff to treat her in a non-negligent manner and do not commit or conspire to commit international or tutoious illegal acts against her. Of course they did. They tried to defame this girl. So here's Epstein, and they talk about his enormous wealth, power, and influence to his employees. He had them sign NDAs. That's all in here, okay? Everybody that worked for him either worked on a level you're going to find out as a procurer or enabler, or they signed things and just didn't get involved and never were allowed to say anything. Defendant Epstein displays his enormous wealth, power, and influence to his employees, to the victims procured for sexual purposes, and to the public in order to advance and carry out his crimes and torts. At all relevant times, Defendant Epstein owned and continues to own, directly or through nominee individuals, used to conceal his interests, a fleet of airplanes, motor vehicles, boats, and one or more helicopters. If you watch my previous video on Dershowitz, you'll know that helicopters played into that, as we knew of one of the pilots, some of the logs on one of the private jets. 2 other pilots are named, and they talk about the helicopter logs. Still haven't seen those, have we? He owned and owns numerous properties and homes, including a 51,000 square foot mansion in Manhattan, $30 million 7,500-acre ranch in New Mexico. Again, we're talking about this. A 70-acre private island, formerly known as Little St. James, in or near St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. A mansion in London, England. A home in Paris, France. And a mansion in Palm Beach County, Florida, where this really started to take off. This is an international ring. Do you understand? That all the documents are accusing him of an international ring. This is the definition of it. The allegations herein primarily concern the defendant's contact while at his townhouse in New York. And remember, Maria Farmer says that she saw Dershowitz in the late 90s, which he revealed in his testimony is true. He knew Epstein in the late 90s, introduced to him by Lady Rothschild at the same time as Maxwell. Okay, so all this fits. So this is his New York home. This is his New York operation. And he's already got how many other co-defendants with him? Think about that. Think about that. All right? Defendant Epstein has a compulsive sexual preference for young females as young as 13 and as old as 25. Defendant had sex with young females virtually every day and assisted in the development and execution of a sex trafficking scheme designed to fulfill his sexual desires. Defendant Maxwell, remember this is his main procurer, his main base of operations is this woman. In fact, in some of the other allegations, she takes part with him in a lot of them. In a lot of them. So Maxwell was for decades the highest ranking employee of the defendant's sex trafficking enterprise. She herself recruited young females, oversaw and trained other recruiters on how to best recruit girls for sex, developed and executed schemes designed to recruit young females, and ensured that all participants of the defendant's trafficking scheme acted in a certain specific way in order to advance the purposes of the scheme and conceal it from law enforcement. Okay? Sarah Kellen recruited young females and maintained Epstein's schedule in order to ensure that he was not without his favors of young females for any extended period of time. Defendant Kellen also handled travel arrangements for the various females being exploited for sexual purposes. Defendant Kellen reported directly up the enterprise's line of authority to Maxwell. Do you see how this works? And we're naming names, and these people have already changed their identities. Very hard for me to find photographs. Again, I'd love for people to help me out and find their photographs. Let's find out who these people are. Epstein employed many recruiters of young females. The nature of the defendant's sex trafficking scheme enabled victims themselves, such as defendant Malyshev. Okay, and that's the woman that I found her. Let's go over to her. So we're talking about this person. Again, could not find her photo, but her bio is clear. She's already got aliases. Where's she working in? The fashion industry. Where's she out of? New York. Well, she's out of New York. Now she's over in West Hollywood, California. Okay? Again, I couldn't find any pictures of her. I'm sure if I went on social media, I might be able to. But her public profile there didn't have anything. So, Malyshev, to elevate their status to that of a paid recruiter of other victims. So she was a recruiter that taught recruitment. Let's see. Recruiters were taught by defendants Epstein and Maxwell to inform targeted victims that Epstein possessed extraordinary wealth, power, resources, and influence, that he was a philanthropist who would help female victims advance their careers and lives, and that the recruits needed only to provide Epstein with body massages in order to avail themselves of his financial assistance and influence. In fact, however, these representations were fraudulent. The vast majority of girls were required to perform intimate sexual acts at the defendant's direction, and the defendants did not help or intend to help advance the victims' careers. Defendant Groff, again, Leslie Groff, couldn't find a picture of her, barely found a podcast mentioning her. Defendant Groff coordinated schedules between defendant Epstein and the various young females used for sex, made travel arrangements for the girls, tended to their needs, and communicated with them in order to maintain their compliance with the rules of behavior imposed on them by the enterprise. And I believe that this girl gets out when she's in South Africa. She's told that she needs to recruit somebody in South Africa, and that was it. That's when she finally gets out of the whole thing. The defendants, led primarily by defendants Epstein and Maxwell, fulfilled Epstein's compulsive need for sex with young females by preying on their personal, psychological, financial, and related vulnerabilities. The defendants' tactics included promising the victims money, shelter, transportation, employment, admission into educational institutions, educational tuition, and other things of value in exchange for sex. Defendants' sex trafficking venture and enterprise operated in the hierarchical structure, with defendants Epstein and Maxwell at the top and underlings below. Underlings below. Underlings included that of the named defendants as well as unnamed, let's repeat this one, as well as unnamed co-conspirators such as various housekeepers and butlers. Now remember, the one butler that got out the little black book of Epstein, he went to jail for longer than Epstein did, and then when he got out of jail, he died. That's what happens when you're not a billionaire and you do the right thing. Then when you try to expose something as crazy as this, no, be a co-conspirator like the various other housekeepers and butlers at the numerous residences, although this one's just focusing in on New York. Oh, an airplane pilot and various employees, assistants, and associates. And remember, they're naming one airplane pilot. Bradley Edwards asked Dershowitz specifically about several airline pilots and the helicopter as well. Just saying. Wittingly and unwittingly, such underlings performed their respective roles with the purpose and effect of ensuring that the enterprise supplied young females to the defendant Epstein for other sexual and others. Sorry about that. That's right, because this wasn't just Epstein, obviously, and others for sexual purposes. At all times, materials to this complaint, the venture and enterprise was a group of two or more individuals associated in the fact and the deed. I wonder if that's kind of alluding to a double team action. But again, with these allegations, you've got the creme de la creme, and with those books of his contacts, forget about it. And we've talked about Soledad O'Brien, the media figure, tweeting about. You watched that video I did. I did that video quite a while ago, but that's why you should, if you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe. Come on in. I have a whole Them Too section, a lot of Epstein videos. But Soledad O'Brien was just like, yeah, everybody talks a game. What does she know right here? But there were a lot of really important people sitting down and having fun with Epstein right afterwards. Everybody talks a big game, like the DOJ talked a big game. And then they dropped everything and said, look, it has to stand. And Barr, our Attorney General, just recuses himself. Says, nope, sorry. I worked at one of the law firms that represented Epstein. I must recuse myself. And it looks like his sweetheart deal, even though it went against the Crime Victims' Rights Act, has to stand. And not because, they were wrong, but because there is a constitutional loophole that doesn't specify that anything will be done. I did a video on that too. Subscribe, guys. Join the Burmese Brigade. Get here. All right. So, let's see. Defendants Epstein and Maxwell, with the help of assistants, associates, and underlings, recruited and procured hundreds of girls over the decades of their operation, of their scheme. Remember, the Miami Herald said they contacted at least 80. As far as I've read, and I'm sure there's more, we were at Jane Doe 102 in regards to this case. In fact, I'm pretty sure that Guffrey met with the FBI at a consulate in Australia sometime in 2015, and they said that she provided accurate information. That's in one of these documents as well. Again, guys, there's going to be a lot of Epstein deep diving in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to go through as much as I can. If you find something, please point it out, and I would love to go over it. So, such recruitment and procurement included fraud, coercion, the threat of coercion, and the combination of these and similar tactics. Following the defendant's recruitment and procurement of females to join the Epstein in New York and the U.S. Virgin Islands, the defendants used fraudulent promises, coercion, and the threats of coercion in order to entice young females into sex and, once sexual activities ensued, to cause them to remain in the enterprise. Everybody thinks that pimping's so cute, huh? People say, pimping ain't easy. You know, it's glorified in the culture. This is what it really looks like. And you know what? You're not even seeing the darkest of the dark. But you see how they do it? This is what an international upper crust pedophilia ring looks like. Their enterprise. And they get deals nobody can imagine. Why is that? Their clientele. And it's not only their clientele. Who do you think's really running it at the top? Who are the real gangsters out there? The defendants also transported females in interstate and foreign commerce in ways that affected interstate and foreign commerce. Yes, they bought and sold them for sex through international means, 100%. Defendants specifically targeted underprivileged, emotionally vulnerable, and or economically disadvantaged young females to join the enterprise. It is unknown exactly how long Epstein and Maxwell's aforementioned criminal and illegal enterprise operated, although it was at least continuously and actively in operation from the mid-90s through and including the calendar year of 2007. And there are documents that are filed, I think, in 2017, where they claim that he just kept going. We gotta bring those out again. There's so many of these things. In fact, guys, I don't know if we haven't shown you this time around, but there are plenty of documents and transcripts to go over. Aside from just the FBI stuff, maybe to countermand, there's a lot more. We went over some of the Dershowitz testimony. In fact, Haley Robson, she's another one accused by another Jane Doe. She was in community college when she was getting girls out of high school for them, and possibly junior high. That's not very clear. But the transcripts here are a lot of Maxwell, so that's going to be some pretty deep reading, but there's a lot to do. And this right here, that was released by, I think, the Miami Herald. So I'm not sure if it's a slow release, if everything's out, if the press just isn't sharing a large file with everybody, and they're kind of coming out, but I'm doing what I can while I can do it, guys. So, again, this ring that we just talked about, mid-90s through at least 2007. That's what they feel like they can prove, what they know for a fact. Defendant Epstein has continued the enterprise and conspiracy up into the present time. There it is. There's the gravy train with biscuit wheels. That's what I was looking for. It's in this document. What's the date on this bad boy? This was filed in 2017. Let's say it again. Filed in 2017. Okay? That's what we're talking about. Do we get it? I mean, my God. This is crazy. It's unreal. So here is educational tuition. I just don't know how much more I can do on this. It's like I want to throw up. What was it, 20 something that they said that it kept going? Here we go, yeah. So up until the present time. They're saying up until right now, and thank you, Vanessa, for the super chat. We always appreciate this. You know, obviously my earlier Dershowitz video, demonetized. I don't expect that one to be monetized. That's okay. I don't expect a lot of these ones to be monetized, guys, because they're showing you the real documents. That's cool. Drone Wolf Media, thank you so much. I appreciate that super chat as well. So this is where they start talking about the 2005 investigation into Palm Beach. Remember, we're looking at documents that are separate from that case and talking about what is New York enterprise. And we know that Maria Farmer claims that not only she was abused and molested by Maxwell and Epstein herself, okay, And that's when she freaked out. And I believe she might have said that when she was of age, she also had sex with Dershowitz in like a three-way. Okay, because again, they were promoting her career, but her underage sister as well was taken in by them. And she said that she had talked to the FBI and seen Dershowitz at this place going upstairs where underage models were back in the late 90s, where Dershowitz confirms he did know Epstein back then in his own testimony. Just saying. So each child was lured into the defendant Epstein's Palm Beach mansion with the promise that she would receive money for providing him with a body massage, although once there, each child was made to engage in a sex act in order to receive the promised compensation. Several were also made to engage with sex with another of defendant Epstein's female sexual traveling companions. In 2006, the Palm Beach Police Department investigation was turned over to the FBI and the United States Attorney's Office. Yes, it was. And remember, Acosta. We showed this evidence to a grand jury. They didn't want to do any jail time. Okay, sure. So they talk about this investigation of more than 30 minors. What they don't disclose, though, is they disclose that he has to plea it down, right? Now, I do have one of the documents that is basically, everybody talks about a non-prosecution agreement. In fact, I think I'm going to end this one soon, but let's talk about the non-prosecution agreement. We're going to do a whole video on that one as well. So the non-prosecution agreement wasn't a non-prosecution agreement at first by the Justice Department. What they did is they deferred everything, and he had to take steps in order to get there. And not only serve his time, but then there was a 3-month period afterwards if he had been caught doing something that they could have still prosecuted him. They were talking about other investigations simultaneously going on. Okay? While this sweetheart deal is in place, while his co-conspirators were getting immunity for crimes that they didn't even mention. It was complete insanity. And remember, Dershowitz helped broker this deal. So that's going to be a completely separate video. We just showed you Jane Doe number 43. We just showed you what we could of the other co-conspirators. We're going to name them again right now. We're going to show them to you again because people need to know. Leslie Groff, couldn't find much about her. Find an image, please, guys. I'm really asking here. Okay, this is Sarah Kellen. Here's another Sarah Kellen picture. Look how young that girl next to Sarah Kellen is. Think about that. Couldn't find Natalia Malashev's photo, but she's got a ton of aliases. But they're all co-defendants, okay? They're all co-defendants in this one. And it has to be mentioned. So, Maxwell at the top, and the other ones are right there. So we're going to keep doing these deep dives. If you're brand new to the channel, please, now is the time to hit that subscribe button, thumbs this up, share it. We don't talk shit here. Okay? We bring out the real documents. We don't say we have the documents. We have the documents. Okay? And we show you the documents and we let you decide. And that's what it's all about. This isn't about left versus right. This isn't a conservative libtard moment. All right? It's about right and wrong. This is about an issue that goes well beyond partisan line politics that are mainly an illusion to divide you anyway. So if you want real news, if you want things that actually matter, please subscribe. Take a look, guys. I do real stuff from Nexium to MK Ultra to sanctions to the dancing Israelis. You name it, I cover it. Assange. You want to talk about fake left and right? You know what I did a video on this week? Good old George Soros. Yeah, he's partnering with his buddy Charles Koch to put together a new think tank together called the Quincy Institute. But I thought they were mortal enemies. Just like Kevin Spacey and Bill Clinton having that long-term relationship nobody talks about. That's connected to Epstein. Didn't see that video? That one's important too. So like I said, join the Burmese Brigade. Thumbs this video up, share it. And how am I surviving, guys? I'm surviving by you. So if you like independent journalism, we're trying to do $5,000 a month. I'm not bullshitting you. I'm going to put out 30 to 50 quality videos a week, sometimes more. Especially now, I got an AC unit in here. I got these documents. Get ready for more live streams exposing Epstein and his crimes. That's a promise. Guys, thank you so much. And I will see you all on the flip side.